So I've lived in the Carolinas pretty much my entire life. And maybe it's because we live in the Myrtle Beach area now, or because my son is literally obsessed with bugs. But since we've been here, we've seen some of the weirdest, creepiest, in my opinion, insects that I have ever seen. And today's gonna be fun because we're gonna share with you actual pictures of these creepy crawlies and tell you what they are. And make sure to stay tuned for the end because we found something in our garage that you won't even believe is here in South Carolina. So yes, in the Myrtle Beach area, we have palmetto bugs, we have fire ants, we have black widows, all of the things that you've probably heard of before and I've seen growing up in the Carolinas. But today, we're gonna share with you some of the most unusual insects that we have come across since moving to Myrtle Beach. And first, let's go ahead and start with the less creepy, if that makes sense, and work our way up. So one day, right outside of our garage, Hudson ran into these. Can you tell there's two of them? These are southern two-striped walking sticks. And as you can see, Hudson was having them crawl all over him. And they're relatively harmless, but you do have to watch out because they do have a milky chemical spray that they can use if they feel threatened. And if you do get that in your eyes, it can cause temporary blindness. So you can hold them, just be careful and don't put them near your eyes. They're relatively rare to find, so Hudson was super excited. This next one, although super creepy, is also relatively harmless. And if you can even believe this, Hudson came across it on the beach. See if you can tell what it is. When Hudson showed it to me, I thought to myself, this looks like a dung beetle, but there's no way those are in South Carolina, and especially they're not on the beach in South Carolina. So we went back and we did a little research, and sure enough, this is certainly a dung beetle, and it's called Carolina copris. I don't know if I said that right, but that's what it's called. It's typically found near cow or horse dung, so I'm not really sure what it was doing on the beach, but Hudson was sure happy that he found it there. So let's get to a bit creepier insects. Frank came outside of the house one day to find this one snacking on a bumblebee. It was so strange that neither of us had seen one before, so we had to find out what it was. Turns out this is known as a robber fly or an assassin fly. So it attacks flies, beetles, butterflies, moths, bees, ants, and so on. So it's generally considered good because it gets rid of some of those more pesky insects. However, don't try to hold one as they can bite. But if they do, it's relatively harmless. You ready for the 3 creepiest spiders we've seen? Ugh. And of course, the black widow is super creepy. I hate them. We've seen many of them since living here. However, do you know what this is? Looks like a black widow, right? With the hourglass symbol. But have you ever heard of a brown widow? Well, back in the day, these spiders were only found in the United States in the areas of the Caribbean, Hawaii, and Florida. But around 2000, these spiders started showing up, not only in these areas, but from Texas to Georgia, and now to South Carolina. The black widows we found pretty much in our garage, but these brown widows, we've found all of them in our outdoor furniture over the years, and they get up inside of it. And my question when we found them was, can it bite and can I die from it? So, turns out their venom is actually twice as potent as the black widow. However, good news is they don't make as much, so it's not as poisonous. But I do want to say that I don't ever want to experience a bite from either a black or a brown widow. But if you do, they say the bite from a brown widow is pretty uncomfortable, but you're not going to die, thank goodness. So Here's another incredibly icky, but not so dangerous spider that we actually came across walking in the neighborhood. So you can't tell from the picture, but it was so big, you could actually see it from down the street. Hudson wanted to pick it up, take it home with us. I was trying to stay as far away from it as possible. And Frank got a little closer to help with Hudson, but he realized that it had hundreds of babies on its back. Ooh, it was actually a wolf spider, but with all of those babies on its back, it looked humongous. And while wolf spiders are creepy, they're not actually poisonous and don't pose a threat to humans, so that's good. But they are big, so if they do bite you, it can be painful. So maybe don't touch those. This last spider was dead, luckily, when we found it, but since it was black and white and hairy, we just had to find out what it was. Do you know? Did you guess that this one is a bold jumping spider? It's so creepy. It's probably the creepiest to me because it can jump more than 4 times the length of his body. And the good news is people rarely get bit by them because they're hard to catch. But if you do get bit by them, it is painful, I hear. The good news is their venom is not deadly. So let me give you one more insect that we found that's very unusual before we get to the craziest story. So one day, taking a stroll through the neighborhood, of course, we almost walked right over this bug, which Hudson wanted to pick up so bad. But my mom instincts kicked right in, and I did not think that was a good idea. I told him, don't touch it. We'll take a picture, we'll look up what it is, and if we see another one, we can touch it then if it's safe. So do you know what this one is? It's called a wheel bug because of that spiny looking wheel on the top of it. And if you see one of these, do not pick it up. Their bite is described to be more painful than a wasp sting. So for these, it's best to look at them, but don't touch them. All right, are you ready for the craziest insect we have seen here in the Myrtle Beach area? Well, it's not actually an insect, but since it's closely related to spiders, I thought we'd put it on this list. And because of all of these bugs I've been going over with you, we put these little sticky strips in our garage so that it catches them as they try to get towards our house. And one day, Frank comes in holding one of the sticky pads and says, Tiffany, I'm pretty sure that there's a scorpion on here. I was like, no way. I've lived in the Carolinas my whole entire life. We don't have scorpions here. This is not like Texas, Arizona. It's not the desert. And he told me to take a look. And here you go. See what you think. I'm sure you're thinking what I did. That's definitely a scorpion. So we looked it up, and to our surprise, there is a South Carolina scorpion. And supposedly they come out in the spring and the fall. But the good news is that unlike those in the desert, in the western states, the ones in South Carolina are not deadly. And they rarely sting. However, they will sting you if they feel threatened, of course. But if they do, it's more like a bee sting, so not so bad. So have we creeped you out enough for today? Hopefully you found this list very interesting and entertaining. And if you still feel like you want to move to our area, which I think you should, give us a call. We would love to help you find the perfect home for you and your family. And make sure to subscribe to our channel because we release new videos every week like this that you won't want to miss. And P.S., out of all those things we found and everything around, Hudson, Frank, and I have never been stung or bitten. So they're not going around attacking everybody in town. But we do want you to know what's here and what you can touch and what to stay away from. Have a great day and happy house hunting.